Good morning guys from beautiful Lake Atitlan. We're staying in this gorgeous Airbnb here, which is really spacious, but actually the best part of this Airbnb is the views you get from the balcony, and the main reason we picked it really. Come check this out. Got a beautiful hammock here, chill.
Morning. Look at this amazing view.
I know, it's unbelievable.
Just love having my morning coffee here when it's a little bit cooler. The volcano is absolutely clear. It's amazing. Can't wait to explore the area now.
This is San Pedro Volcano here. It's one of three. The other two you can't really see right now, they're over here.
No,
in the
we've not
clouds.
seen them properly, have we?
No. We're actually staying in San Marcos la Laguna, which is on like the northwest point of the lake. There's loads of different towns dotted around the lake, all with sort of slightly different vibes. Today we're going to be going out trying to explore as many as we can. But first, it's time to have some breakfast. So we went down into town yesterday and found this little bakery called Circle's Bakery here in San Marcos. The bread looked absolutely amazing, and the pastries, I mean, look at the size of them. But then when it comes to the cost, this one loaf of bread costs like £2.50 roughly, and each one of these costs £2.50 as well. So just for this, we ended up spending about over £11. Thankfully, it is some of the best bread that we've eaten anywhere other than in like the UK or Europe. At least they've got that going for them, but it's still like incredibly expensive for Guatemala sort of prices. So this might be the one and only time that we eat these pastries from that bakery. San Marcos is known as more of like the hippie kind of town, so you'd expect to find like lots of yoga retreats, meditation, health food stores, typical things you'd expect to find in that sort of environment. It's also supposed to be one of the most expensive towns on the lake, and if the bakery yesterday was anything to go by, then we can definitely see that that is true. We're gonna head down, have a little explore around.
True enough, San Marcos is definitely the most laid-back town on the lake. Whilst exploring its variety of little streets early in the morning was fun, nothing was really open yet, and it wasn't until we returned later in the day that we saw all the different stores selling both local and other products along the main avenue.
For such a small town, there's also loads of places to get something nice to eat. As you can imagine, there is a lot of tasty vegan food here, from delicious breakfasts at Il Giardino to amazing fusion dishes at Samsara's Garden, and yummy vegan tacos and burritos at Zen Eats, to fantastic traditional Guatemalan pupusas at Restaurante Conejel, which was our personal favorite.
There's also Lava Love Cacao, where you can either take part in some traditional cacao ceremonies or just enjoy a hot cacao drink like we did.
So here in San Marcos, there's also this little nature reserve down by the shoreline, which you have to pay 20 quetzales per person to get in. You can do some little hikes up to some nice viewpoints like you can see behind me. They also have the sort of infamous diving platform here, where you can jump from the platform into the water, which I don't think we'll be doing. The lake itself can be quite polluted, especially in certain parts. Apparently here in San Marcos and around this nature reserve is one of the best places to swim because the pollution is slightly less. So I think after our little hike, we're going to go down to the shoreline and take a quick dip. Here's the jumping platform. That is pretty high. Whoa. 100% not brave enough to jump off that. It's really high.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, you're definitely not jumping in. Even tells you how you should jump in, like pencil.
So we actually just learned that our entry ticket apparently allows us to come back if we want to on the same day, so that's pretty good. You can come here in the morning or later in the evening if you want to have a little chill time. It's beautiful here.
Definitely the most peaceful place that we've been on the lake so far.
It's quite hard to leave, to
yeah.
be fair. But
really,
at least you
really
can come
nice.
back today if you want to.
So there are two main transport options here on the lake. We'll get to the second one a little bit later in the video. The road network here doesn't connect the whole lake, so one of the best ways to get around is via water taxi.
They're basically like the local bus.
Yeah, so you can go to towns like across the bay to San Pedro, San Juan, all the way down to Panajechal for about 20 to 25 quetzales, which is not too bad. We're going to head over to the docking bay now and get a boat over to San Pedro. San Pedro is sort of known as the backpacker hub of Lake Atitlan. It's full of bars and hostels and lots and lots of parties here, so it can get very loud. It's also a lot bigger than San Marcos. There's a lot more like tour agencies and shops and things, a little bit more going on, a few more ATMs. Probably a good place to base yourself if you're looking to party a little bit or you want a few more amenities maybe.
So we just stopped for a quick drink and a little snack. We kind of need a little break because San Pedro is way more hectic than San Marcos is, where we're staying. Way more tuk-tuks going around, noise, people, everything is definitely a more bustling town for sure. So if you love that, then this is the place for you. If you like a bit more chill, then maybe opt for San Marcos.
The other main mode of transport is the tuk-tuk. San Juan is a bit of a smaller town and a little bit less touristy, but it's probably known as one of the prettiest towns on the lake just because it's so colourful and vibrant. You can see around me just how beautiful the artwork is here. So gorgeous. Not a lot of people choose to base themselves here, but it's a beautiful place to come and check out. This town is definitely giving us some Guatape vibes from Colombia.
It's so colourful, like everything is just coloured and painted. It's beautiful, I love it here. Probably my favourite so far.
Yeah, it's definitely our favourite town so far on the lake. I mean, this is only the third one we visited, but it's going to be hard to top this.
There's also a small hill overlooking San Juan, and if you walk a short distance out of town, you can hike up to it for 30 quetzales per person. It's a pretty steady climb all the way up, and once you're at the top, you get great views out across the lake from a colourful platform.
On the way back down to the docks, we walked along Calle de las Sombrillas, which is a great place to do any souvenir shopping as there are so many shops there. Then we hopped on a boat back to San Marcos.
So just to illustrate the price difference between San Marcos and San Pedro a little bit more, this is what we bought in San Pedro today. Probably good for at least 2 or 3 dinners, a little bit of stuff for breakfast, some coffee. All of that was literally the same price as what we paid for the 4 pastries and a loaf of bread here in San Marcos. If you're after staying somewhere a little bit cheaper, definitely recommend staying in San Pedro because the prices there are a lot lower than here in San Marcos. Obviously, for us to buy this stuff, we had to take the water taxi over, which cost us about £5. Gotta add that into the equation, but overall I still think it's cheaper probably to go over to San Pedro and do most of your main shopping over there and then just get what you need like locally here, like fruit and veg and stuff. That's probably the best option.
The next morning, we hopped back into a water taxi and glided across the glassy waters of the lake to Panajechal. Then we took a short tuk-tuk ride to the nearby village of Santa Catarina. This is a much more traditional town with very few tourists and is filled with just as much colour as San Juan, although the predominant colour does seem to be blue.
This might be the most picturesque football pitch I think I've ever seen. Imagine playing your games here. It's a pretty epic view.
We then headed back to Pana the local way on the back of a pickup truck. After a well-needed refreshment break at a cute little cafe in Pana, we headed just out of town to the Reserva Natural Atitlan.
Oh, it's nice to be out in nature again.
Yes, super peaceful here. Panajechal can be a little bit overwhelming. It's definitely the busiest of all the towns we've been to and the biggest. So yeah, it's nice that you can just come about a 10-minute tuk-tuk ride out of town and just escape into nature a little bit. Here they have a few different trails you can walk around. They have a few more adventurous activities like zip lining and those bikes that you can sort of, sky bikes I think they're called. We also have a few kawatis behind us that you get to see. Just like in Costa Rica, they have some pretty cool hanging bridges here. This is the first one. Definitely a lot wobblier than the bridges in Costa Rica though. Whew.
They feel like the bridges in the Cocora Valley in Colombia and the hanging bridges in Costa Rica had a baby and this is the...
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah. Definitely very wobbly, but cool.
They also have a small butterfly garden on site with many varieties of species to admire.
So just making our way back to Panajechal now. Didn't film a huge amount in Panajechal just because it's not as pretty as some of the other towns, but there is like the big market there where you can get a lot of stuff. There's a lot more amenities and things like that, some bigger shopping centres.
Yeah, and obviously it's a good transport hub as well if you're going to other areas in Guatemala. They have big supermarkets as well, which you can miss in San Marcos. We're already missing San Marcos, so I think we're pretty happy with our choices so far.
So we've just got one more town to visit on the north shore of the lake, so we'll just head back to the dock and hop on the boat. So we just docked in Santa Cruz, and one thing that's very different about Santa Cruz to all the other towns is that it is way higher up on the hill than where the dock is. So you have to have a really steep climb to get up to the actual town.
The smart thing to do is to take a tuk-tuk up. It's a very bumpy ride on the water. Going up here isn't fun.
No.
Santa Cruz is a little like Santa Catarina in that it is a very local feeling town, although a few more tourists do choose to base themselves here. Our main reason for visiting was to eat at Café Sabor Cruceño, which has one of the best viewpoints out over the lake. We had heard they do a vegetarian version of pepillan, Guatemala's signature dish. This usually includes meat, so it was great to be able to try it whilst enjoying the amazing views.
Nice. Most traditional Guatemalan meal, apparently.
Apart from the tofu.
Obviously, it's usually with meat. Today we're going to be hiking up Volcan San Pedro, which is the giant volcano that sits just opposite where we are in San Marcos.
Yeah, we see it every morning, so it's time to see what the views are like from top of it. It's quite a few hundred meters smaller than Santa Maria was. I think just over 3,000 meters. I think the elevation gaining will be probably pretty similar though.
Yeah, I think it's about 1,200 roughly meters of elevation. It's just one single trail all the way up. You just get a tuk-tuk up from San Pedro to the entrance, and then you just walk from there. You have to pay 100 quetzales per person to do the trail. We've heard that you can be offered a guide for that price, but we weren't. In the past, I think they've had some trouble with incidents on this route, which is why I think now they're policing it a little bit better. At least we hope they are.
You're on our own.
Fingers crossed we get up okay. You already get a sense here of the giant caldera that this lake actually is. This whole thing would have erupted thousands and thousands of years in the past to create this sort of big caldera. It's just crazy to imagine the scale of that eruption. They have all these white markers on the boulders. If in doubt, just follow the white markers. Pretty self-explanatory. Or the big sign that says volcan this way. Shit. No idea if this is the super poisonous type of this snake or if it's the fake one, but you almost got hit by it. Oh shit.
That's why I wanted to move the guide. Oh my god, Jude, I don't want this trail anymore.
Watch your step, I would suggest. Apparently there are snakes up here on this trail. That seriously freaked you out. Oh my god. I don't know if that was like the poisonous one or the fake one. I couldn't really see it on the camera either, but best not to take any chances. I've just reached the first mirador. There's supposed to be a couple of these on the way up, and already the views are pretty amazing.
You can see pretty far to
Yeah, it's about 2,200 meters here, so we've still got about 800 to go. So far it's been pretty similar to Santa Maria, although trail I would say is slightly better. There's a few more like steps, it's a little bit more well maintained. We've seen one other person so far on the trail just hiking on their own. For the most part it's all been in the shade in the forest, so that's quite nice, you know, out in the sun the entire time, which is definitely a bonus. So far so good. 500 meters to go. How are you doing?
Tired?
Yeah, it's getting pretty steep now. On this trail, every 100 meters they have the sign for how high you are. Don't know if I like that or not. It's kind of nice to know how far you've got to go, but at the same time, it tends to go quite slowly when you're waiting for that 100 meters every single time. You might like it, you might not. But anyway, 500 meters to go. So we're about 2,600 meters. We've just been passed by a lot of groups going back down just after 10 o'clock. Obviously they started quite a bit earlier. Maybe they were up there for the sunrise. A lot of them had guides. One was being escorted by a police officer. Safety is definitely an issue here in the past for sure, and they're still obviously wary of it. So it's totally up to you whether you choose to come with a guide or not. So yeah, we've seen lots of other people so far. Touch wood. Nothing yet.
After another 30 minutes or so,
Hold
we
on.
finally made it to the summit and were rewarded with some seriously spectacular views out over Lake Atitlan.
Just descending from the summit now. Took us about 2.5 hours to get up, hopefully a little bit less now to get down. The views were absolutely stunning. We really picked a very good day to do it because it's the first day since we've been here where it hasn't really been that hazy, so you could really see for miles. There were quite a few people still up there when we arrived, which was nice to know. I was around like 11 o'clock and we're still not the last ones. There's still a couple behind us. We'll see if we pass anybody on the way up as we go down.
You just said it. I think we can hear some people coming up, so
Yeah.
we're not the last ones up.
Similar to Santa Maria, it's exactly the same route on the way down. Not going to film that because it'll just be a repeat. So we'll catch up with you, hopefully, safe and sound at the bottom. So we're pretty much all the way down to the bottom now. Had absolutely no problems coming down. We actually met a lot of people still going up. Seems like there's a sort of downtime. It's like the groups that go up for the sunrise, sort of in the dark, and they come down sort of as we were going up. We didn't see very many people on the way up, so I think we just got into like a little pocket.
I mean, I don't know, it could be just a day or...
Maybe. We're doing it on a Saturday, so definitely recommend doing it at a weekend because it definitely will be busier.
Yeah.
And highly recommend. And
Just mind your step, because
Yeah.
you might run into a little snake.
So we got back from the hike not too long ago, and I just wanted to double check like what type of snake we actually saw on the hike, because I really couldn't tell from the brief little look that we got at it. I knew there were two different types of this kind of snake. The coral snake, which is obviously the very venomous one, and then the milk snake, which sort of imitates the coral snake, but its patterns are slightly different. So we've had a quick look online, and you can see that the coral snake and the milk snake, they have similar markings. Milk snake, the red will never touch the white or the yellow sections of the snake, whereas the coral snake, the red touches the yellow or whitish bands. Red touches yellow, kill a fellow. That's the sort of rhyme that you need to be aware of. Initially, when I first looked back at the footage, I thought it was a milk snake because it's white and black and red, and the milk snakes are generally a lot whiter in colour, those segments. But then you can also see that the white bands are touching the red bands. That would suggest that it's not a milk snake, probably a coral snake.
I mean, we're still only about 90% sure that it was a coral snake. So if there's a snake expert out there, please answer whether it was a coral snake or a milk snake, because we would love to know. Luckily, they're pretty shy what we read about them, so they don't really attack you unless you're really hurting them or stepping on them, which I almost did accidentally.
Pretty crazy encounter, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Today we are going to try and get to a place called Chichicastenango, which is a little bit of a journey from San Marcos.
Especially if you do it on your own.
We're going to try and do it independently. We're probably going to have to take at least 4 or 5 different methods of transport. So wish us luck, but it's supposed to be one of the best markets in Latin America. And
I mean, it will be probably a bit touristy as always, but we'll see.
The first stage of our journey was to get a water taxi to Pana. After arriving in town, we hopped straight on a chicken bus headed to Solola, where we had to change buses for the first time. This bus took us to the transit hub of Los Encuentros, where we had to change buses again to the one that would take us the final leg to Chichicastenango.
We've just arrived to Chichicastenango. It was pretty easy actually on the buses. We had to take 3 different buses to get here, plus the water taxi at the start. The guys who run the buses are super helpful. As soon as you get off one, you just say where you're going and they point you straight to where you need to go on the next one. We never really had to wait for a bus. They just put us straight on one as soon as we arrived somewhere. And the entire journey cost us less than $5 for the two of us. It took us about 3 hours to get here, but that was including probably about an hour just to get the boat from one side of the lake to the other. So I'd say about 2 hours on the buses to get here. Chichi is just behind us. The market is up there somewhere. Go and check it out.
The market at Chichicastenango comes to life every Thursday and Sunday and is an absolute feast for the senses. Colors and patterns pop from every stall, be it on rugs and sashes or belts, hats and dresses. Smells waft up from fresh tortillas being cooked, spices sitting out and incense being burned at the local church. It's so much fun to just walk around and soak it all in.
A little like the Otavalo market we visited in Ecuador, Chichi market has become very touristy, and we noticed the vendors' prices were a lot higher than other markets we'd been to. This didn't take away from our enjoyment though, and we would highly recommend visiting Chichi market during your visit to Guatemala.
So the market isn't the only colourful place you can visit in Chichi. There's a cemetery too. If you're travelling through Guatemala, you will quickly notice colourful cemeteries everywhere you go. Every little town has one. And Chichi also has its own colourful cemeteries, which is actually more beautiful than the one we visited in Chela.
Definitely the most colourful cemetery I think I've ever seen, for sure.
After leaving the cemetery, we hopped back on the chicken buses and made our way back to San Marcos. We absolutely loved our stay on Lake Atitlan. It's easy to see why this lake has been voted one of the world's most beautiful, and if you're traveling through Guatemala, it should be right up there at the top of your itinerary. We hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful, and we'll see you on our next location here in Guatemala, Antigua.